Who am I? This is a question that can elicit levels of answers. In every culture and era of human history, there is evidence of a type of self-realization that transcends the temporary identities we wear throughout our lives. So the knowledge of who you are is really quite layered. As you look within, it becomes important to acknowledge it all. Everything from the capacity for unconditional love to those very creaturely desires that are meant to be satisfied in moderation. And also to look at the looker itself, to become aware of the steady conscious presence that you always are. In the same way life is always now, you are always a conscious presence. Consciousness is where you derive a sense of self. We don't just exist, we are conscious. We know we exist, and we know certain things about the nature of our existence. We know that we've come from our ancestors. We know that over time we age. We know that our time here is finite. We have a sense of the big picture of human existence. And yet you aren't only conscious of human nature in general. You are conscious of your own personal nature. Your ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills related to yourself is an intelligence. It's intrapersonal intelligence. Intrapersonal intelligence can be defined as an information processing capacity directed inward. It means being able to process the information of your internal experience, to detect what's happening in the privacy of your own consciousness, and to understand it. You have your stream of mental activity, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, your dreams, your visions, your urges, your instincts, appearing and disappearing, flowing and morphing in your mind's eye. You have your patterns, your habits, your addictions, the typical reactions you default to. You have your emotional atmosphere. You have your personality, which is essentially the recipe of characteristics that gives rise to the flavor of you. It's a whole world in there. And your outward actions, your behavior, tends to reflect that inner world. There are examples of people who may have attained a real experiential knowledge of their own spiritual essence, yet who never acknowledged or admitted their oh-so-human follies. The controversial spiritual figure Osho Rajneesh is a prime example of this. Wild Wild Country, the documentary series that tells the story of his uprising, is a must-see. I have no doubt Osho really did figure out how to release inhibitions and unleash states of ecstasy, and that he had gleaned powerful philosophical insights in his life. He expressed some beautiful wisdom, like, you are already a masterpiece. You cannot be improved. You only have to realize this. And on some level, that may be true. You may be a perfect soul already, but you're also human. And humans come with some seriously selfish and even violent tendencies. Knowing that you have within you the potential for violent, immoral, dishonorable behavior is necessary for preventing it from ever manifesting.
I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me.
The poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou spoke to this recognition of the ugly potentials of human nature even within her.
You will never be able to say of an act, a criminal act, oh, I couldn't do that. No matter how heinous the crime, if a human being did it, you have to say, I have in me all the components that are in her or in him.
If along with identifying as an immortal soul, Osho also acknowledged his humanness, he could have regulated himself better. His manipulative sexual behavior, such as when one of his followers approached him seeking guidance about how to overcome her phobia of rats, and he told her she should indulge in oral sex. His insatiable desire to accumulate material possessions, which drove him to collect 93 Rolls Royces. His sense of entitlement and superiority, all of this went completely unchecked, and it ended up hurting people. A great example, very inspiring to me, of someone who is aware of himself in an ultimate sense, but also in a very human sense, is Russell Brand.
A comedian and an author. Please welcome Russell Brand.
He contemplates his life deeply and gleans fascinating insights. He seeks the truth of who he is sincerely.
Well, in some ways it's me, isn't it? Sometimes I'm sadly a victim of my own primal desires, my own conditioning.
And he's also aware of the selfish, gluttonous, creaturely urges that reside within him and could derail his life if they go unchecked.
You're not a drug addict, are you? It doesn't make no difference to me. The money, the fame, the power, the sex, the women, none of it. I'd rather be a drug addict. If I didn't have my program, I'd be a drug addict today.
There is nothing in him that he's afraid to see, and his ability to look squarely at his human condition gives him great freedom over it.
My assumption of who I am has been challenged because I have a daily experience of consciousness that is distinct from my individual sense of myself.
As you develop intrapersonal intelligence, you gain clarity, you see your strengths and your limitations. You improve your ability to recognize your emotions, understand them, regulate them when necessary, and draw upon them as fuel for right action. You know what temptations you can resist and which temptations you'll cave into. And with that, you have a good sense of what situations best be avoided. You want to be able to draw upon a clear awareness of who you are, what you value, and what brings you joy in life. Remember that more than one of the intelligences from the multiple intelligences theory is prominent in an individual. And so these intelligences really exist in combination with each other. Intrapersonal intelligence will express differently based on which other intelligence is really prominent in the person. If you have high levels of intrapersonal intelligence and bodily intelligence, you are very embodied.
7, 6.
You'll thrive in any physical challenge that requires you to dig deep, muster motivation, stay disciplined, and keep yourself in the right mindset. For those of you with especially high levels of intrapersonal intelligence and visual intelligence, you'll soak your brush in the colors of your own inner world and create art. How can you develop intrapersonal intelligence? I imagine you might be expecting me to say that you need to find solitude, close your eyes and meditate. Those practices can be extremely helpful, but it's also just as important to engage with the world and to be in relationships. There is plenty you would never see in yourself until you have someone to mirror it back to you. Many buttons you don't even know you have until a special someone just comes and pushes them. So above all, you develop this intelligence by being mindful of who you are, by being open to whatever you discover, by seeing with objectivity what you are capable of, what your tendencies are, what feels natural to you. You are truly unique, made of universal elements, but combined into a variation life had never seen before you arrived. And here you are, a totally unique human being with layers of complexity and the intrapersonal intelligence to reflect on the question, who am I? I would love it if you left a comment below and started a little discussion around this. What have you discovered about yourself and your life? What methods have been helpful for you to develop intrapersonal intelligence? What are some of the benefits you've noticed from knowing yourself better? Thank you for being here. Things would not be the same without you.
If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe.